What happens when talent hides behind size? When promise gets buried under prejudice? When the smallest person in the room carries the biggest legacy? This is that story. Spring arrives at Riverside High with the crack of aluminum bats and the smell of fresh-cut grass. The baseball field stretches wide under April sun, diamond dirt raked perfect, bleachers empty but expectant. Coach Martinez surveys his kingdom, 23 years of wins and losses etched in the lines around his eyes. State championship rings on fingers that never quite learned to point with kindness. The tryouts begin. Bodies scatter across the field. Tall, short, thick, lean, all chasing the same dream, making varsity. In the back, almost hidden behind a cluster of seniors, stands Tommy Balboa, 5'4" in cleats, 130 pounds soaking wet, 16 years old with his father's eyes and his mother's gentle smile. Nobody knows about the father's eyes. Not yet. Tommy adjusts his glove, worn leather broken in perfectly, passed down from someone who understood the game in ways most people never would. Coach Martinez blows his whistle, sharp, commanding. Line up for batting practice, the bigger boys push forward. Jake Morrison, 6'2", already being scouted by colleges. Derek Santos, built like a truck. Scholarship offers piling up like autumn leaves. Tommy waits, patient. Like someone taught him that good things come to those who work, while others just wish. His turn at the plate arrives. The first pitch comes, if fast. 85 miles per hour of pure intention. Tommy's swing is poetry, compact, precise. The ball rockets toward the gap in left center field, rolling all the way to the warning track. A few players nod, impressed despite themselves. The second pitch, another line drive. This one down the right field line, fair by inches, would have been a double in any real game. Coach Martinez barely looks up from his clipboard. Third pitch. Tommy turns on it, sends it sailing over the left field fence, gone before the outfielder can even turn around. Now the coach looks, for exactly 3 seconds, then back to his notes. Size matters in baseball, he tells himself. Speed matters, arm strength matters. Heart? Heart doesn't show up in the box score. Tommy trots back to the line, breathing steady, knowing he just did something most of these kids could never do. But knowing, too, that sometimes being right isn't enough. The tryouts continue for 2 more hours. Running, fielding, throwing. Tommy keeps up with everyone, faster than some, smoother than most. But at 5'4", he disappears in a crowd of giants. The day ends with Coach Martinez calling out names for tomorrow's practice. 26 players made the cut. Tommy's name echoes across the field, dead last. Barely made it. Charity case. That's what the whispers suggest. Walking home, gloves slung over his shoulder, Tommy passes the trophy case outside the main office. Championships from decades past gleam behind the glass. Photos of heroes long graduated, moved on to real life. He pauses, studies the faces, wonders if any of them ever felt this small, this invisible. His phone buzzes, a text from his father. "How did it go, champ?" Tommy types back, "Made the team." 3. Dots appear, disappear, appear again. "Proud of you, remember what we talked about, show them what you're made of." The phone goes quiet. Tommy stares at the message, feeling the weight of expectations he can't quite name. At home, his mother waits with dinner and questions. Jennifer Balboa, kindergarten teacher, heart bigger than the school where she works. "How was practice? Are you excited? Did you eat enough lunch?" The questions tumble out like baseballs from a bucket. Tommy answers them all with the patience of someone who knows love comes in different shapes. His father's chair sits empty at the dinner table. Work, always work. Scripts to read, meetings to attend. A life that exists in a world Tommy only sees on screens. But upstairs, in the quiet of his room, sits something special. A baseball. Signed. Not by a famous player, but by someone who understands what it means to fight. The signature is simple. To Tommy, keep swinging. Dad, tomorrow. Practice starts for real. Tomorrow the proving begins. Tonight Tommy falls asleep holding that baseball, dreaming of moments when size doesn't matter, when heart beats height, when the smallest player becomes the biggest story. What he doesn't know yet is that some stories write themselves, and some fathers carry legacies heavier than trophies. Practice begins with wind sprints. 26 players line up along the first baseline, cleats digging into dirt, lungs already burning from anticipation. Coach Martinez stands at home plate, stopwatch in hand, whistle around his neck like a noose of authority. Go. Bodies explode forward. Jake Morrison leads the pack, long strides eating up ground like a machine built for speed. Tommy runs beside Derek Santos, matching him step for step until Derek notices, realizes he's being paced by someone half his size, and kicks into another gear. The humiliation is subtle, intentional. First sprint, Tommy finishes fourth. Second sprint, Tommy finishes third. Third sprint, Coach Martinez calls him out. Balboa, you're holding everyone back. Take 5 laps around the field. The words hang in the air like smoke from a fire nobody wants to acknowledge. Tommy doesn't argue, doesn't protest, just nods and starts running. Alone. While the team moves on to fielding practice, Tommy circles the field like a planet orbiting a distant sun. Lap 1. Anger. Lap 2. Confusion. Lap 3. Determination. Lap 4. Acceptance. Lap 5. Focus. Not anger, not fear, just focus. He rejoins the team for batting practice, sweat-soaked but steady. His turn comes. The pitching machine hurls fastballs with mechanical precision. First pitch, line drive up the middle. Second pitch, rope down the left field line. Third pitch, another gap shot, this one splitting the outfielders perfectly. A few teammates exchange glances, impressed again, worried maybe about what they're seeing. Coach Martinez watches from behind the batting cage, arms crossed, jaw set. Like concrete. Next batter, he calls out before Tommy can take his fourth swing. The pattern establishes itself over the following days. Tommy performs. Coach Martinez dismisses. Teammates notice. Nobody speaks. But in the equipment shed, behind stacks of batting helmets and buckets of scuffed baseballs, something waits. Tommy discovers it on a Thursday afternoon, searching for his batting gloves after another abbreviated batting practice session. A photograph, black and white, tucked inside an old program from a championship game 25 years past. The image shows a man in boxing shorts, gloves raised, eyes burning with the kind of fire that launches legends. Below the photo, in faded ink, "To Riverside High. Keep fighting, Sylvester Stallone." Tommy stares, studies the signature, compares it to the one on the baseball sitting on his nightstand at home. Perfect match. His hands shake as he slips the photograph back into the program, tucks it behind the other forgotten memories, collecting dust in the shed's dark corners. Questions flood his mind like water through a broken dam. How long has this been here? Does anyone know? Why hasn't his father ever mentioned this connection? That night at dinner, Tommy pushes food around his plate, appetite lost in the maze of new understanding. His mother notices. She always notices. "Everything okay, honey? You seem distracted." Tommy forces a smile. "Just tired from practice. Coach is really pushing us." Jennifer nods, but her teacher instincts recognize the signs of something deeper. She's seen this look before in her classroom, the face of a child carrying secrets too heavy for small shoulders. Upstairs, Tommy examines the signed baseball with new eyes. His father, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa. The Italian stallion, champion, legend, dad. The man who taught him to throw a curveball in the backyard on summer evenings when the rest of the world thought he was just another actor pretending to be tough. But Tommy knows better, has always known. The hands that signed autographs for millions are the same hands that bandaged scraped knees and taught him that winning isn't always about crossing the finish line first. Sometimes winning is about finishing at all. Tomorrow is Friday. Game day approaches. First real test of the season. Tommy falls asleep clutching the baseball, wondering if courage is genetic, if heart can be inherited like eye color or the shape of a smile. Before we continue, comment where you're watching from. Outside his window, spring rain begins to fall, drumming against glass like applause for a performance that hasn't started yet. In the equipment shed, the photograph waits in darkness, patient as a secret that knows its time will come. Friday arrives with grey skies and the weight of first games. Riverside High versus Central Valley Academy, a rivalry older than most of the players have been alive. The locker room buzzes with nervous energy. Jokes too loud, laughter too forced, the kind of tension that makes boys act like men before they're ready. Tommy sits in the corner, methodically taping his bat, ritual and superstition wrapped around aluminum like armor made of hope. Coach Martinez enters with the starting lineup written on a clipboard that might as well be carved in stone. Names get called, positions assigned, dreams distributed like rations in a war where only 9 soldiers get to fight. Jake Morrison, center field. Derek Santos, first base. Marcus Thompson, shortstop. The list continues. 8 names, 8 starters, 8 chances to prove worth. Tommy's name doesn't get called. Bench, Coach Martinez announces without looking up. You'll get your chance if we need pinch runners. The words sting like antiseptic on an open wound. Pinch runner. Translation, fast enough to be useful, not good enough to matter. But Tommy nods, says nothing, takes his place on the aluminum bench that will become his throne. Of patience, the game begins. Central Valley scores twice in the first inning. Riverside struggles, swinging at bad pitches, making errors that turn singles into doubles, doubles into disasters. By the 5th inning, they trail 8-2. Coach Martinez paces the dugout like a caged animal, barking instructions that sound more like accusations than advice. Tommy watches, studies, sees patterns in the opposing pitcher's delivery that his teammates are missing. The kid from Central Valley telegraphs his curveball, drops his elbow just enough to give away his intention to anyone paying attention. Tommy leans forward, catches Derek Santos between innings. Hey, their pitcher. When he's going to throw the curve, he drops his. Derek cuts him off. Thanks, benchwarmer, I think I can handle it. The dismissal hits harder than any fastball 7th inning. Riverside still down by 6. Coach Martinez finally looks down the bench, eyes scanning for options like a general surveying broken soldiers. His gaze passes over Tommy like he's invisible, lands instead on Bobby Chen, senior backup catcher, career, mighty hitter who gets the nod simply because he's been here longer. The crowd in the stands grows restless. Parents and students who came expecting at least a competitive game start checking phones, planning early exits, but in the back row of the bleachers, someone watches with different eyes. Mrs. Rodriguez, the school janitor, has seen every game for 15 years. Cleaned up after victories and defeats with equal dedication, she notices things others miss, like how the smallest player on the bench hasn't stopped studying the game, hasn't let disappointment turn into defeat. She's seen that look before. In her own son, who now plays Division I baseball at State University, despite being told he was too small, too slow, too unlikely to ever matter. Mrs. Rodriguez knows something about hidden potential. But diamonds waiting for the right pressure and time to reveal their brilliance. The game ends in humiliation. Final score, 11-3. Central Valley celebrates like they've won the World Series. Riverside trudges toward the locker room with heads down, shoulders slumped, the weight of failure making even the strongest players look small. Tommy gathers his gear with the same careful attention he brings to everything. Glove oiled and stored, bat secured. Dignity intact despite never leaving the bench. Coach Martinez addresses the team with the kind of speech that's supposed to motivate, but mostly just amplifies disappointment. We're better than this. We have to want it more. Championship teams don't make excuses. The words ring hollow in a room full of teenagers who just learned that wanting something and earning it aren't the same thing. Walking to the parking lot, Tommy passes Mrs. Rodriguez as she begins her ritual of cleaning up after other people's dreams. She pauses, looks at him with eyes that have seen too much to believe in easy answers. Good game, mijo. Tommy stops, confused. I didn't play. Mrs. Rodriguez smiles. Sometimes the most important games happen when nobody's watching. She returns to her work, leaving Tommy to puzzle over wisdom disguised as small talk. At home, his mother waits with the kind of smile that mothers perfect. Equal parts hope and heartbreak, worn like a mask to protect children from adult disappointments. How was the game? We lost. Tommy's voice carries the weight of more than just a final score. Jennifer hugs him with the fierce protectiveness of someone who knows that life's hardest lessons often come dressed as minor defeats. Your father called. He wanted to know how you did. What did you tell him that you're learning? Upstairs, Tommy sits on his bed, holding the signed baseball, wondering if legends ever spent their nights on benches, watching other people live their dreams. The photograph, hidden in the equipment shed, feels like a secret growing heavier by the day. Some truths, Tommy realizes, are like pressure cookers. The longer they stay sealed, the more explosive they become when finally released. Monday practice arrives with the sting of Friday's defeat still fresh in everyone's memory. Coach Martinez runs the team harder. Wind sprints until legs turn to rubber. Fielding drills until gloves feel like lead weights. Punishment disguised as preparation. Tommy endures every sprint, every drill, every barked command with the patience of someone who knows that complaining only makes invisible players disappear completely, but someone else is watching now. Mr. Patterson, assistant coach and history teacher, notices things that escape Coach Martinez's tunnel vision, like how Tommy never misses a sign, never takes a play off, never lets frustration compromise his focus. After practice, while the other players head home to video games and dinner, Mr. Patterson finds Tommy in the equipment shed, organizing bats by weight and length. Most kids would see this as brown-nosing. Mr. Patterson recognizes it as respect for the game. Mind if I ask what you're doing? Making sure everything's ready for tomorrow. Mr. Patterson nods, studies the careful way Tommy handles each bat, checking for cracks, ensuring proper storage. You know, I've been coaching for 12 years. Seen a lot of players come and go. Tommy continues working, listening without appearing to listen. Some kids have talent, but no heart. Others have heart, but no talent. Rarely do you find both in the same package. The words hang in the equipment shed like dust motes in afternoon sunlight. Tommy looks up, makes eye contact for the first time. What category do you think I'm in? Mr. Patterson considers the question seriously. I think you're in a category all your own. The question is whether anyone else will figure that out before it's too late. Walking home. Tommy carries Mr. Patterson's words like a small flame in a very dark room. That evening, while searching for his history textbook, Mr. Patterson discovers something that changes everything. The old program falls out of a stack of papers he's moving, the black and white photograph sliding across his desk like a revelation demanding attention. He recognizes the signature immediately. Sylvester Stallone, the inscription to Riverside High, the date stamp from 25 years ago. Mr. Patterson's mind races backward through years of school records, enrollment lists, connections that suddenly make perfect sense. Tommy Balboa, B-A-L-B-O-A, not just a name, a legacy, a bloodline that connects directly to one of the most recognizable figures in American culture. But more than that, a father who built his entire career on the story of an underdog who refused to stay down. Mr. Patterson spends the next hour on his laptop, researching, confirming what his instincts already know. Public records are sparse but sufficient. Marriage certificate, Sylvester Stallone to Jennifer Chen, now Jennifer Balboa. School enrollment, Tommy Balboa, age 16, parent chart guardian, Sylvester Stallone. The pieces fit like a puzzle that's been waiting years to be solved. Tuesday morning, Mr. Patterson arrives at school early, the photograph secure in his jacket pocket. He finds Coach Martinez in his office, reviewing game film from Friday's loss, searching for explanations that might be written in pixels and replays. We need to talk. About Tommy Balboa, Coach Martinez doesn't look up from his screen. What about him? Kid's too small for varsity ball. I'm doing him a favor keeping him on the roster. Mr. Patterson places the photograph on the desk. Coach Martinez glances down. His expression shifts from dismissal to confusion to something approaching recognition. Where? Did you find this? Equipment shed. Been there for decades, apparently. Coach Martinez picks up the photo, studies the signature, the inscription, the face that launched 1,000 movie posters. So? It's just an old autograph photo. Probably worth a few bucks on eBay. Mr. Patterson sits down heavily. Tommy's last name is Balboa. His father is Sylvester Stallone. The words hit the office like a meteor striking Earth. Coach Martinez sets down the photograph with hands that suddenly seem less steady. You're sure? I'm sure. The two men sit in silence for what feels like hours, but measures only minutes on the clock. Finally, Coach Martinez speaks. This doesn't change anything. The kid's still too small. Still not varsity material, but his voice carries less conviction than usual. Mr. Patterson retrieves the photograph. Maybe, or maybe we've been looking at this all wrong. He stands to leave, pauses at the door. You know what his father's most famous for? Coach Martinez shrugs. Being Rocky. Mr. Patterson shakes his head. Never giving up. He leaves Coach Martinez alone with game film and the weight of new understanding. That afternoon, during practice, something subtle shifts. Coach Martinez finds himself watching Tommy with different eyes, seeing not just size and speed, but heart and determination, the qualities that made Rocky Balboa a champion despite every statistical disadvantage, the qualities that run in bloodlines like rivers carrying gold. Wednesday brings rain and the kind of practice that happens indoors. In the gymnasium that smells like old leather and adolescent ambition, Coach Martinez sets up stations, batting tees, agility ladders, conditioning circuits designed to keep baseball muscles sharp when weather won't cooperate. Tommy moves through each station with mechanical precision, swing after swing at the tee, each one identical in form and follow-through. Mr. Patterson watches from the corner, the photograph burning a hole in his jacket pocket like a secret too heavy to carry, but too dangerous to reveal. Not yet. Timing matters in baseball as much as in life. After practice, he approaches Tommy as the team files toward the locker room. Got a minute? Tommy nods, always respectful of teachers, especially ones who treat him like he matters. They walk to Mr. Patterson's classroom, past empty hallways that echo with the ghosts of 1,000 conversations between mentors and students who needed a guidance. The room smells like chalk dust and possibility. Posters of historical figures line the walls. Lincoln, Roosevelt, Martin Luther King Jr. People who faced impossible odds and found ways to overcome them. Tommy notices the theme. You collect underdog stories. Mr. Patterson settles behind his desk. I teach them. History is full of people who weren't supposed to succeed, but did anyway. He pulls out the photograph, places it carefully on the desk between them. Tommy's eyes widen. Recognition hits like lightning, illuminating a familiar landscape. Where did you find this? Mr. Patterson studies Tommy's face, watching for reactions that will confirm what he already knows. Equipment shed. Been there for 25 years, apparently. Tommy reaches out, touches the edge of the photograph with reverence usually reserved for sacred objects. He was here, at our school, Mr. Patterson leans forward. Your father was here. The words hang in the air like a question that both men know the answer to. Tommy looks up, meets Mr. Patterson's eyes, sees understanding rather than judgment or exploitation. You know. I know. They sit in silence for a moment that stretches between them like a bridge. Being built from trust and shared secrets. Why haven't you told anyone? Tommy's voice carries the weight of 16 years of being ordinary, despite carrying extraordinary blood. Because it's not about him, it's about me. Mr. Patterson nods, recognizes wisdom that most adults never achieve. But sometimes the past can help the present. He stands, walks to the window that overlooks the baseball field, where dreams get made and shattered with equal frequency. Your father built his career on the story of someone who wasn't supposed to matter, but refused to accept. That Tommy joins him at the window. Together, they watch maintenance crews preparing the field for tomorrow's practice. I'm not asking you to trade on his name. I'm asking you to remember what that name represents. Mr. Patterson hands Tommy the photograph. This belongs to you. It always. As Tommy takes it, studies his father's face from a quarter-century ago, sees determination that transcends time and circumstance. What am I supposed to do with this? Mr. Patterson returns to his desk, begins grading papers with the focused attention of someone who knows that small actions can have enormous consequences. That's up to you. But if I were in your position, I'd remember that sometimes the most powerful weapon you have is truth. Walking home, Tommy carries the photograph like a talisman against invisibility. At dinner, his mother notices the change in him. Something lighter in his posture, more confident in his voice. Good day at school. Tommy considers the question while pushing mashed potatoes around his plate. I learned something about Dad. Jennifer's fork pauses halfway to her mouth. Oh? Tommy pulls out the photograph, places it beside his water glass. Jennifer gasps, reaches out with trembling fingers to touch the image of her husband, 25 years younger, but wearing the same expression of determined hope she sees in their son's eyes every morning. Where did you find this? School. He was there. Before I was born, before you met him. Jennifer nods, memories flooding back like water through a broken dam. He told me about that day. It was right after the first Rocky movie. He was doing publicity appearances, visiting schools, trying to inspire kids to follow their dreams. She traces the signature with her fingertip. He said that day changed him, seeing all those young faces looking up at him like he had all the answers. Tommy studies his mother's face, sees stories written in the lines around her eyes. Did he have the answers? Jennifer smiles. The kind of smile that carries 30 years of marriage to someone who built dreams from determination and refused to let reality define possibility. He had one answer, the only one that ever mattered. She looks at Tommy with eyes that see past size and statistics to the heart that beats with the rhythm of champions. Never give up. That night, Tommy places the photograph on his nightstand next to the signed baseball. 2 artifacts from the same source. 2 reminders that legacy isn't something you inherit, it's something you earn. Friday arrives with perfect weather and the worst possible timing. Riverside High faces Jefferson Prep, a private school powerhouse with unlimited budgets and recruited athletes who make high school baseball look like professional tryouts. The visitors' bus disgorges players who look like they stepped out of college recruiting videos. 6-foot-plus frames carrying themselves with the confidence of athletes who've never known defeat. Tommy watches from the dugout as Jefferson takes batting practice. Ball after ball explodes off aluminum, sailing over fences with casual violence. Their smallest player stands 5'8". Their largest could play linebacker at State University. Coach Martinez paces the dugout like a general, preparing for a war he knows he can't win. The starting lineup gets posted, same 9 names as always. Tommy's name absent as expected, but today feels different. The photograph hidden in his equipment bag carries weight beyond its physical dimensions. The game begins with Jefferson scoring 4 runs in the first inning, not through luck or error, but through pure, overwhelming athletic superiority. By the 3rd inning, Riverside trails 9-1. The home crowd, parents, students, faculty who came hoping to witness competitive baseball, sits in uncomfortable silence. This isn't a game. It's a clinic on the difference between want and ability. Coach Martinez burns through pitches like kindling in a fire that refuses to be contained. 5th inning, Jefferson 12, Riverside 2. 6th inning, Jefferson 15, Riverside 3. The mercy rule looms like a storm cloud, heavy with the promise of early humiliation. In the dugout, frustration reaches critical mass. Derek Santos slams his helmet against the bench. This is embarrassing. We'd look like little league players out there. Jake Morrison nods agreement. Maybe if coach actually played our best players instead of keeping charity cases on the roster. The words are meant for everyone and no one, but Tommy hears them like thunderclaps. In a clear sky, Mr. Patterson, coaching third base, catches the exchange. Sees Tommy's jaw tighten almost imperceptibly. Sees something flicker in his eyes that looks dangerously like his father's pre-fight stare. Top of the 7th. Jefferson bats around again. 3 more runs. 18-3. The game has become a public execution. Coach Martinez calls timeout. Walks to the mound with shoulders slumped in defeat. He could pull his starter, put in another pitcher to absorb more punishment. Instead, he does something that surprises everyone. He looks toward the bench. His eyes scan past the usual suspects. Land on Tommy Balboa. You're in, right field. The words hit the dugout like a grenade. Now? Derek Santos can't hide his incredulity. You're putting him in now, when it doesn't matter. Coach Martinez turns to face his team. Game's over anyway. Might as well give the kid some innings. The dismissal stings worse than being benched. Pity at bat. Charity inning. Participation trophy disguised as opportunity. Tommy grabs his glove, walks toward right field carrying 17 innings of accumulated frustration and a lifetime of being underestimated. The crowd notices the substitution. A few parents point and whisper, "Who's the small kid? Never seen him before. Why put him in when the game's already lost?" Mrs. Rodriguez, cleaning sections of the grandstand between innings, pauses in her work. She's seen this movie before, knows how these stories can end when the right person gets the right moment at the right time. Bottom of the 7th. Riverside's last chance to avoid complete humiliation. The first 2 batters ground out weakly. No fight left in swings that have been beaten down by statistical impossibility. Tommy steps into the batter's box with 2 outs and nobody on base. The Jefferson pitcher, 6'4", already committed to pitch Division I, barely glances at the scorecard. His first pitch comes in at 92 miles per hour. Designed to intimidate rather than locate. Tommy doesn't flinch, takes the pitch for a strike but shows no fear. The second pitch comes harder, 94, high and tight. Chin music meant to back Tommy off the plate. Instead, Tommy steps closer. The crowd senses something shifting, a subtle change in atmospheric pressure that happens right before lightning strikes. Third pitch. The pitcher tries to blow a fastball past Tommy's bat. The swing is perfect, compact, violent, precise. The ball rockets off aluminum with a sound that silences 18,000 square feet of baseball field. Left field, deep, deeper. The outfielder runs back, his glove reaching desperately toward a ball that has already decided its destination. Gone. Over the fence. Into the parking lot. A home run that travels not just 400 feet, but across the entire distance between invisible and unforgettable. Tommy rounds the bases with the same steady pace he brings to everything. No showboating, no celebration. Just a kid who did what he's always been capable of doing when given the chance. The dugout erupts. Even players who dismissed him 5 minutes ago rush to home plate to celebrate a moment that redefines what they thought they knew about their teammate. In the stands, Mrs. Rodriguez stops pretending to clean, stands, applauds, recognizes the look on Tommy's face as he crosses home plate. The same look she saw in her son's eyes the day he proved everyone wrong. The look of someone who just announced to the world, "I belong here." The dugout celebration lasts exactly 37 seconds, long enough for teammates to remember that despite Tommy's home run, they're still losing 18-4. Long enough for Coach Martinez to remember that he put Tommy in as charity, not strategy. Long enough for reality to reassert itself like gravity pulling dreams back to earth. But Mr. Patterson saw something different in that swing. Something that reminded him of footage he'd watched 1,000 times. Rocky Balboa connecting with Apollo Creed's jaw in the 15th round. The same coiled power, the same perfect timing, the same refusal to accept that size determines outcome. After the game, final score 18-4, Jefferson victorious in every statistical category except the one that matters most. Mr. Patterson finds Tommy packing his equipment with the same methodical care he brings to everything. That was some swing. Tommy shrugs, got lucky. Pitcher got careless. Mr. Patterson sits beside him on the aluminum bench that's been Tommy's throne for most of the season. Luck doesn't drive a ball 400 feet. Careless doesn't explain perfect timing. He pulls out his cell phone, scrolls to a video he downloaded during the game. Someone's parent filmed your at-bat, posted it online already. The phone screen shows Tommy's swing in high definition. The moment of contact, the ball's trajectory, the silent crowd suddenly finding their voices. Tommy watches himself circle the bases like he's seeing a stranger wearing his uniform. It's already got 200 views. Comments from people asking who you are. Mr. Patterson pockets the phone. The question is, are you ready for people to know? Tommy looks up, understands the deeper meaning behind the words. You think I should tell them? About my father. Mr. Patterson stands, begins walking toward the parking lot. I think you should decide what story you want to tell. But I also think your father would be proud of what you did out there today. That evening, Tommy sits in his room, with the photograph and the signed baseball arranged on his desk, like artifacts in a museum dedicated to potential. His laptop is open to the video Mr. Patterson showed him. The view count has climbed to over 1,000. Comments stream below the video. Who is this kid? What a swing. Riverside's got a secret weapon. Someone should scout this player. Tommy closes the laptop, picks up his phone, stares at his father's contact information for 5 full minutes before finally pressing call. The phone rings twice before a familiar voice answers. Hey, champ, how was the game? Tommy takes a deep breath. Dad, I need to tell you something. The conversation lasts 47 minutes. Father and son talking about pressure and expectations, and the weight of carrying a name that means something to millions of people who've never met you. His father's voice carries wisdom earned through decades of being both ordinary and extraordinary. You know what I learned making Rocky? Tommy waits. The real fight isn't against other people. It's against the voice in your head that says you don't belong. When you hit that home run today, what did that voice tell you? Tommy considers the question, remembers the moment the ball left his bat. The silence before the crowd realized what they'd witnessed. It didn't say anything. For the first time in my life, that voice was quiet. His father's laughter comes through the phone like sunlight through clouds. That's when you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be. They talk about choices, about revealing truth versus earning recognition, about the difference between using a name and honoring it. By the time they hang up, Tommy knows what he needs to do. Saturday morning arrives with the kind of clarity that follows storms. Tommy walks into Coach Martinez's office carrying the photograph and a decision that will change everything. Coach Martinez looks up from game film, expects to see another player asking for more playing time, instead sees Tommy Balboa placing a photograph on his desk with the careful precision of someone playing their final card. "I think it's time you knew who I really am." Coach Martinez stares at the photograph, studies the signature, the inscription, the face that launched a cultural phenomenon, then looks at Tommy with eyes that suddenly see past size and statistics to bloodline and birthright. "Your father is Sylvester Stallone." Tommy nods. "And you've known this whole time?" "Since I was born." Coach Martinez leans back in his chair, processing information that reframes every interaction they've ever had. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "Because I wanted to earn my spot, not inherit it." The words hang in the office like a challenge that demands response. Coach Martinez picks up the photograph, studies it again. "This was taken here, at our school, 25 years ago. He came to inspire kids like me, kids who were told they weren't big enough, strong enough, good enough." Coach Martinez sets down the photograph with hands that suddenly seem less steady. "What do you want from me?" Tommy stands, walks to the window that overlooks the field where he spent most of the season watching other people live his dream. "I want a chance. A real chance. Not charity. Not pity. Just opportunity to show you what I can do when it matters." He turns back to face Coach Martinez. "My father didn't become a champion because people gave him things. He became a champion because when he got his shot, he took it." Coach Martinez studies Tommy's face, sees determination that transcends genetics, recognizes fire that burns independent of famous names or Hollywood connections. "Monday's practice will be different." Tommy nods, heads toward the door. Coach Martinez calls after him. "Tommy." He turns. "That home run yesterday, that wasn't your father's swing. That was yours." Tommy smiles. The kind of smile that carries the weight of truth finally spoken and burdens finally shared. Outside, spring sunshine warms the baseball field where maintenance crews prepare for another week of practices, games, dreams deferred, and occasionally fulfilled. Mrs. Rodriguez waves from the equipment shed, where she's organizing bats and balls and the accumulated hopes of teenage athletes. She's heard the rumors already spreading through school like wildfire, about the small player who hit the impossible home run, about the photograph found in forgotten corners, about connections between Hollywood legends and high school benchwarmers. But Mrs. Rodriguez knows something the rumors haven't figured out yet. The most important part of this story isn't about who Tommy's father is. It's about who Tommy is becoming, and that story is just beginning. Monday arrives with the weight of revelation hanging over Riverside High like morning fog. Word spreads the way secrets do in small communities. Quickly, quietly, unstoppably. By second period, half the school knows that Tommy Balboa, the bench warmer from the baseball team, is the son of Rocky Balboa himself. By lunch, the other half has heard 3 different versions of the story, each more embellished than the last. Tommy navigates the hallways with the same steady patience he brings to everything, ignoring whispers and sideways glances that follow like shadows. But something has shifted. In the cafeteria, Jessica Morrison, Jake's younger sister, student council president, someone who's never spoken to Tommy before, approaches his table. With calculated friendliness, "Is it true? About your dad?" Tommy looks up from his sandwich, studies her face for signs of genuine interest versus social opportunism. "It's true." Jessica's eyes light up with the kind of excitement that comes from proximity to celebrity by association. "That's so cool. Have you met any other famous people? Do you think your dad would come speak at graduation?" The questions tumble out like coins from a broken slot machine. Tommy finishes his sandwich in silence, gathers his things, stands to leave. Jessica follows. "I didn't mean to bother you. It's just, this is so exciting." Tommy pauses, turns to face her with eyes that carry more understanding than judgment. "I'm the same person I was last week. Same size, same batting average, same everything." Jessica nods enthusiastically, missing the point entirely, of course. "But now everyone knows how special you are." Tommy walks away, leaving Jessica standing in the cafeteria with her mouth slightly open, confused by his lack of enthusiasm for newfound attention. At practice, the dynamic shifts subtly but unmistakably. Coach Martinez calls Tommy's name for batting practice earlier in the rotation. Teammates who ignored him for months suddenly offer advice and encouragement with forced camaraderie. Derek Santos, who called him a charity case 3 days ago, now pounds his back after every solid hit. "Way to go, Tommy. Show us how it's done." The attention feels hollow. Performance based on information that has nothing to do with his actual performance. But Mr. Patterson notices something else. Tommy's swing has gained confidence, not from external validation, but from internal acceptance. He's playing like someone who finally believes he belongs. After practice, while other players rush toward the parking lot and weekend plans, Tommy remains on the field, taking extra ground balls, working on his footwork, preparing for opportunities that might finally come. Mrs. Rodriguez approaches with her usual quiet wisdom. "How are you handling all the attention, mijo?" Tommy fields another grounder, makes the throw to first base with precision that would make professional scouts pause. "Same way my father handled it, I guess." "Which is?" Tommy considers the question while retrieving the baseball. "Stay focused on the work. Everything else is just noise." Mrs. Rodriguez nods approvingly. "Your father raised you right." That evening, at the school board meeting, Principal Williams announces that Riverside High will be creating a display case in the main hallway. It will feature the photograph of Sylvester Stallone along with artifacts from the school's athletic history. A way to honor our connection to someone who embodies the values we try to instill in our students. The announcement makes the local news, a human interest story about small-town pride and unexpected connections to Hollywood royalty. Tommy watches the broadcast from his living room, sitting between his parents on the couch where he's spent countless evenings just being a normal kid in a normal family. His mother squeezes his hand. "You okay with all this?" Tommy nods. "As long as they spell my name right on the lineup card." His father laughs, the kind of laugh that comes from recognition. "You know what the hardest part was for me?" Tommy waits. "Learning that being famous doesn't make you better at anything. It just makes more people watch you do what you've always been doing." The display case gets installed on Wednesday. By Thursday, students from other schools drive by just to see the photograph and read the inscription that connects their rival to Hollywood history. By Friday, the story has been picked up by sports blogs and entertainment websites. Rocky's son follows in father's footsteps. The underdog legacy continues. Small player, big name. Tommy reads none of the articles. Instead, he focuses on the upcoming game against Lincoln High. A chance to prove that his story is being written by his actions, not his ancestry. The display case gleams under fluorescent lights, drawing visitors who take selfies and post them online with hashtags about inspiration and legacy. But Tommy passes it every morning without stopping. He knows the real display case is the scoreboard. The real legacy is what happens between the lines. Everything else is just museum pieces. Friday night arrives with perfect weather and imperfect expectations. Lincoln High brings their best team in a decade. Scouts from 3 colleges dot the bleachers like periods in a sentence about future possibilities. The parking lot fills with cars, carrying people who've never seen a Riverside game before but want to witness the son of Rocky Balboa in action. Tommy dresses in the locker room surrounded by teammates who still don't quite know how to treat him. Part celebrity, part charity case. Part mystery. Coach Martinez posts the starting lineup. For the first time all season, Tommy Balboa's name appears in the 9 right field, batting 7th. Not because of his father, not because of newspaper articles or display cases or social and media attention, because yesterday, in practice, he outplayed everyone who tried to take his position. The game begins with Lincoln scoring twice in the first inning. Riverside answers with 1 run in the bottom of the second. By the 4th inning, the score is tied 3-3, real baseball, competitive baseball. The kind of game that reminds everyone why they fell in love with this sport. Tommy's first at-bat comes in the 3rd inning, with 1 out, and runners at first and second. The Lincoln pitcher has heard the stories, seen the video clips online, knows that despite Tommy's size, he represents genuine threat. The first pitch comes in hard and inside. Purpose pitch, designed to intimidate. Tommy doesn't back down, stays in the box, shows no fear. Second pitch, curveball that breaks perfectly over the outside corner. Strike 2. The crowd grows quiet. Parents and students and curious visitors all leaning forward in anticipation. Third pitch, fastball right down the middle. The pitcher's mistake. Tommy's swing is violence disguised as poetry. The ball rockets toward the gap in left center field. Both runners score easily. Tommy slides into second base with a double that gives Riverside the lead. The crowd erupts, not because of who his father is, but because of what he just accomplished. The game continues for 5 more innings. Lead changes hands 3 times. Tommy makes 2 spectacular catches in right field, diving for balls that lesser players wouldn't even attempt. His second at-bat results in a walk. His third at-bat, another double, this one driving in the go-ahead run in the 8th inning. Final score, Riverside 7, Lincoln 6. The kind of victory that gets remembered not because of individual statistics, but because of collective heart. After the game, as players celebrate and parents take pictures and reporters ask questions about legacy and expectations, Tommy finds Mrs. Rodriguez cleaning up paper cups and hot dog wrappers from the bleachers. "Thank you." "For what, mijo?" "For seeing me before anyone else did." Mrs. Rodriguez smiles, sets down her trash bag, looks at Tommy with eyes that have witnessed too many transformations to be surprised by one more. "I didn't see anything that wasn't already there." She resumes her work, pauses, adds, "Your father would be proud." Tommy nods. Knows she's right. Not because of the newspaper articles or the display case or the social media attention, because he finally learned what his father spent decades trying to teach. Victory isn't about being the biggest or the strongest or the most talented. Victory is about refusing to quit when everyone expects you to disappear, walking home under Friday night lights that illuminate more than just baseball fields. Tommy carries his equipment bag over his shoulder like it weighs nothing at all. His phone buzzes with text messages from classmates who ignored him for months but now want to celebrate his success. He doesn't answer any of them. Instead, he calls his father. The conversation lasts 7 minutes. No discussion of statistics or newspaper coverage or college recruitment possibilities. Just a father and son talking about the thing that matters most, how it felt to belong. What happens when talent hides behind size? When promise gets buried under prejudice? When the smallest person in the room carries the biggest legacy? This is what happens. Truth finds a way to reveal itself. Heart finds a way to overcome height. And sometimes, if you're patient enough and strong enough and stubborn enough to keep swinging when everyone expects you to strike out, you discover that the most important victory isn't beating other people, it's becoming yourself. The display case in the hallway will gather dust and visitors and eventually be forgotten by everyone except maintenance staff. But Tommy Balboa will carry this night forever, not because his father is famous, because he finally learned that being enough has nothing to do with being big. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe.